Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Clever Girls Know podcast. This is Bola, founder and CEO of Clever Girl Finance. And today I am super excited to share one of my good friends with you. Her name is Kalyn Chandler, and she's the founder and CEO of Effies Paper, Stationery&Whatnot, which is a lifestyle brand that creates stationery and other products that are a unique mix of casual elegance, motivation, and social conversation that makes using them fun and engaging. Her products are carried in over 70 stores nationwide, which is a pretty big deal. And so I'm excited to have her on to share her story and business advice with all of you who are listening. Kalyn is one of my cohort sisters from the business incubator that I completed earlier this year, and we've become really good friends as a result. And on this episode, Kalyn shares her personal story around starting her business, including how she went from working as a lawyer at one of the biggest law firms to starting Effies Paper, especially as she quit her job without knowing what she was going to do next. And she also shares how she figured that out. She talks about her biggest challenges and successes, what it means to let go of control to run a successful business, how to stay the course on what you've planned for your business and not get distracted by the shiny object syndrome, which many of us are guilty of, and saying yes to everything versus saying no, and how to deliver your no. So if you are a clever girl entrepreneur or an aspiring clever girl entrepreneur, then you want to listen to this episode. But before we dive into the conversation with Kalyn, head over to Clever Girl Finance and check out our brand new learning platform. Yep, if you missed it, Clever Girl Finance is officially a learning platform, and we have a ton of great courses to help guide you as you improve your finances. We are creating new courses every month, from core financial topics where we talk about budgeting, saving, investing, etc., to life-related topics. For instance, we are going to be launching a new course on how to plan a wedding on a budget, in addition to a ton of other life-related courses that we are currently building out. So stop by Clever Girl Finance and check it out. Also, you will get access to our epic community who will support and encourage you as you go through the journey of improving your finances. So if you haven't already been by, stop by, check it out. Don't wait. You will definitely love what you see when you get there. Also, if you haven't yet subscribed to this podcast, please do and tell your friends about it. You can subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and now on Google Play. I don't know how this wasn't on Google Play before, but now it's on. Thank you, ladies, who told me to get it on there. And you can also listen to episodes and watch videos on the Clever Girl Finance YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe there as well. So now let's get into the episode with Kalyn. Hi, Kalyn.
Hi, Bola. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited about being on.
Same here. I'm excited to talk to you about all things Effies Paper and Kalyn and all that good stuff. So I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, my name is Kalyn Chandler, and I am the owner and creative director of Effies Paper, Stationery&Whatnot. We are a lifestyle accessories company, and we believe that from the door to her desk, a woman should be surrounded by pretty things that make her heart leap. So our products are a unique mix of casual elegance, motivation, and social conversation that makes them fun and engaging. So although the company is named after my grandmother, you best believe this is not your grandmother's stationery company.
That's awesome. And I love, you have a very fun social media page, and we'll share that in the show notes. And, the products that you create are really beautiful. And you and I know each other because we were in the same business incubator, and I got to know you there. But I actually knew you several years before that without really knowing you because
That's right.
I had purchased your book right after college. And I'd love for you to tell everyone what it's called.
It is called the BAP Handbook, the official guide to the Black American Princess. Yes.
Yes. And when I got that book, I had no idea I would ever meet Kalyn Chandler or Kalyn Johnson at the time. But lo and behold, we stumble into each other.
It was bound to happen. It was kismet.
So I'm excited to share it with the audience listening, and I wanted you to talk a little bit about your personal story. Why did you start your business? Why Effies Paper? Why stationery? What were you before? What were you doing before you started this type of business, etc.? All the good stuff.
Well, the short version of the story is that I am a lawyer by training, and I practiced law at a big international law firm for about 10 years. But practicing law was never my passion. I always thought I was going to use my law degree for something else. I just didn't quite know what that something else was. And I ended up segueing into fashion styling because I was the friend that everybody came to, whether it was from college, my friends at work, anytime they had an event to go to or a special occasion, they wanted me to help them get dressed. And so I felt like, well, that's my passion. That's what I should translate into a business. So I left the practice of law and I made this segue. And at the time, I was planning to work with busy professionals who, I knew well, I knew where they worked, I knew what their lifestyles were like because it was mine. And I was primarily focused on lawyers and working with law firms. And I had a lot of inroads with the people at law firms, kind of the HR folks who were making these sorts of decisions. But I started my business when the market tanked. And so law firms and their discretionary funds kind of went away. And I had to think really hard about what I wanted to do. And I decided I wanted to have a widget that would sell itself online while I slept. And my widget happened to be stationery. I didn't know at the time that I was choosing an antiquated widget. So that's kind of the short version of the story. And then moving forward with stationery, what I began to realize after kind of diving into this, I'd always loved stationery and had been a huge stationery connoisseur. I didn't know a whole lot about running a business, much less a product-based business. And as I got into it and realized that technology was taking over and people were, rather than sending thank you notes, people were sending text messages and emails. I realized about 2.5 years ago that I needed to pivot if I was going to continue to have some kind of product-based business. And in my pivot, brought in what you see now. So what you see on our Insta feed, our website, all that good stuff now is a business that really has been around for about 2.5 years. So we brought in all of the Whatnot. And I had named the company originally Effies Paper, Stationery&Whatnot, because I'd always had the intention of bringing the Whatnot in. I didn't know what the Whatnot was going to be. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I wanted to give myself that opportunity. And lo and behold, that kind of became our lifeline because that is what has pushed the company forward.
Oh, wow. That's really awesome. And you guys have to check out, when Kalyn describes the products, you have to actually see them in person to understand what she's talking about, but they're really beautiful. And it's interesting that you transitioned from law to styling to stationery. And I definitely think that you have incredible style. I've reached out to you for styling advice.
You have. See, good friends do that.
But I think it's interesting the fact that you were following your passion each time, right? You knew that you weren't passionate about being a lawyer, but then you went into the styling and then you went into the stationery, and those are big leaps, right? Moving, shifting through those different spaces. And I think a lot of people are in jobs they may not like, or they have a business idea they want to pursue, and they kind of feel like, is that the right thing to do, right? Should I just stay the straight and narrow? And even if I don't like this, because there's no reason why you're still not a lawyer, right? Like still not actively working as a lawyer, right? You could still be doing that, right? So
I certainly could.
So how do you, what would you tell someone, or what were you feeling at the time when you were making those transitions to get to where you are now? And how did you kind of give yourself permission to make those shifts?
Well, I was kind of sick to my stomach because, to be perfectly honest, because going to graduate school is a huge investment. And then I had practiced for quite a while. So, this was my career. And as much as I didn't want to think that my ego was caught up in being a lawyer and, saying, oh, did you see that deal on the front of the Times yesterday? I did all of the environmental transactional work associated with it. It was. And I had to just get comfortable with the fact that, okay, my ego is a bit tied up in this, but I do think I'm ready to segue. And for me, a couple of things happened. My now husband, then boyfriend, who also was a lawyer at a big law firm, so really understood the world that I was in and the amount of time and energy you have to put into a career like that, and knew I wasn't happy and was like, if you're not happy doing this is your life is too short. Maybe you should think about something else. So I had that in one ear. And then I had a couple of really good friends who had made the leap in different ways, one of whom said to me, if you take the leap, the net will appear. But if you never, if you never move forward or move in a different direction, you'll never know what could be. And just because you're leaping to do X does not mean that X is what you will be doing 5 years from now. It may be that you have to do X in order to get to Z. And excuse me, it was those sorts of conversations that helped me build up my confidence to get ready to leave, because when I left the practice of law, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I thought it would be styling, but I really didn't know. So I left, had to tell my firm, my colleagues, that I was leaving, and I didn't have a plan. It wasn't like I was going to a different firm. I wasn't starting my own firm. I wasn't moving into something kind of related, like consulting. It was just a complete, I'm out of here, peace out, and I'll let you know what I'm going to do when I figure it out. And I would say the other thing that I had in my favor, and I was very lucky in this sense, is that I had been working for a while, and I was making good money. So I had saved up quite a lot of money that I knew I had a cushion. What I would say to somebody today, kind of knowing what it is I know now, is that there are lots of ways to take the leap. And it might be a little bit more prudent, also depending upon how old you are, to keep your day job and carve out time during the day, on the weekends, during the evenings, to pursue your passion, so that you've got money coming in while you're figuring out how you're going to make money. And maybe for you, the leap means I get up at 5 and I work from 5 to 8 on my business. And then I get dressed and I go to work and I do my 9 to 5 or my 9 to 9. And then I start over the next day. So there are lots of ways to do it. But the thing that you do have to make the decision about is that you're going to do it.
Yeah, that's really important. And I'm glad that you share that story, because I think, we're in the age of entrepreneurship. A lot of people want to start businesses. A lot of people are unsure about shifting out of their full-time jobs. And like you said, you don't have to make a full shift out of your full-time job. You can still work your full-time job and have a part-time or even a full-time hustle, but you have to commit to putting in the effort to allowing your business to grow. Like when I first started Clever Girl Finance, I was working full-time and I was running a business full-time, and it was a little crazy, but I had the bigger goal in sight. And it's just really making that commitment and being ready to put in the work, right? And even if like you, they don't know what it is that they want to do, I think even just giving yourself that time to figure things out, right?
Yep.
Before you quit your job. And you can do that. You can come home and brainstorm and come up with ideas and even start to test things out and find the one thing that you like. Especially if it's like really on you that, oh my God, I don't like this job, or this is not my passion. It's a great job. It's a great opportunity, but this is not my passion. Figure something, like start to brainstorm and figure things out. Talk to your friends, talk to people around you, ask them what you're good at, and come to that place where you're like, okay, I know what I'm going to try. Even if I don't do this forever,
right?
I can try this for the next year and see if this is the thing.
Exactly.
And then if not, move on to the next thing.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I know a couple of women, in our online space, entrepreneurial world, beautiful Instagram feeds, all that kind of stuff, who's, are running successful businesses, but who still have their day jobs. And I don't know how they balance it all. I think they're probably much better at managing their time than I am, but have decided that for them, it's important to keep their day jobs, and they're doing both, and it seems to be working out for them. So I think there are just lots of paths to and through entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of women that do the same thing too, working full time and working in businesses. And some people don't even ever want to make the transition because they love their jobs.
Exactly.
And they love their businesses, and they find a way to balance. And some of them even run full time businesses, but then they hire really great people to help support that business as a full-time business. And they kind of like are a part-time CEO.
That's a perfect way of describing it. And some days I feel like maybe I should have done the part-time CEO route.
But you said law was not your passion.
No, it wasn't. But I'll be honest. Although practicing law was not my passion, having been away from it for now quite a long time, what I truly miss about practicing law is being around really, really smart people. And having those puzzles to figure out. Now, when I was practicing law, because that was all I knew, I took it for granted and didn't know that I would miss some of that. The entrepreneurial world, I've met some amazing, amazing people. Don't get me wrong. But it's like the wild, wild west. There aren't a whole lot of rules. Everybody is in the pot, and who rises or who doesn't has very little to do with the way things work in the corporate world. It's just a completely different model, and the rules are changing all of the time.
Yep. I mean, sometimes I miss it too. I come from technology, and I used to work in a space where it was about new and upcoming technology. And a lot of times I'm like, oh my God, I'm out of the tech loop.
Exactly.
But, I mean, you pick and choose, right? So,
yes.
So one of the questions I like to ask my guests on here who have businesses, who are running businesses full time is, around challenges and successes. I don't like to, when I talk about business and have conversations, especially when I'm sharing with this incredible Clever Girl audience, I don't like to sugarcoat the experience because
well, you're talking to the right person then.
I kind of want everybody to be prepared. It's not because I'm trying to say, oh, it's going to be hard, but it's because it is hard. And it's a great experience. But I think learning from people's challenges and their successes kind of helps you gain insight as to preparing yourself mentally and emotionally for what you're going to be, what you could be experiencing in your own business at some point. So what have been some of your biggest challenges and also some of your biggest successes?
I would say one of my biggest challenges is letting go of control. Because as you scale a business, you've got to bring other people in to help you run the business. And everybody's not going to do things the way that you would do them. And that's probably a good thing. But you've got to, for me at least, taking a step back and letting the folks I've brought in do their jobs has been tough. I think over the past 6 or 7 months, I've probably gotten a lot better at it. I hope they would say the same thing. They may not. I would say letting go of control, staying focused and not getting sidetracked by the next bright, shiny thing or object. I'm sure, Bola, you get emails and phone calls from people and other businesses all the time about collaborating, or have you thought about this, or we'd like for you to do that. And it's very easy to get sidetracked and not stay the course on what you've planned for your business for a particular year or a particular quarter. I used to fall off the bandwagon all the time, and began to realize, okay, you know what, this is your business. This is what you've decided you want to do for 2017, you decided you were doing A, and for 2018, you want to do B, and for 2019, you want to do C. The only way you can get to C in 2019 is if you stay on course with B in 2018. And so while this seems like it could be a really great opportunity, it might not be the best opportunity for you now. And if it's for you, then it'll come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So those have been my biggest challenges. I would say what I count as some of my biggest successes are that I've been able to create products and a brand that resonates with others. And so we've built up a really loyal following of women, primarily millennials, but, a bunch on either side of that number, excuse me, or that cohort, I guess. And I would say my other success, or for me, what has been a success, is that 2 years ago, when I was sort of faced with, do I pivot or do I close this business because stationery is not selling in the way that it had been, that we were able to pivot. And now the products that I design are and have manufactured are in 70 stores and boutiques across the country. So in addition to us selling online B2C, we also sell our products wholesale, and that business has grown tremendously in the past 2 years. And I'm really proud of that.
That's incredible. 70 stores, that's a big deal.
It's a lot. I mean, it's a hustle. It is a hustle, but the hustle is beginning to pay off.
Yep, it just takes time and effort, and at some point, something has to give. When you're putting all this effort and you're making the conscious effort to do things right and you're adjusting and pivoting as needed, it's inevitable. It's a matter of time.
I like to say it's a numbers game.
It is a numbers game, to be honest. And going back to when you talked about your challenges, I can definitely relate to the shiny syndrome, shiny object syndrome. Yeah, whatever you called it. I can relate to that. I felt like, so the first year I worked full-time in my business, which was last year. Yeah. So last year, maybe a year and some months. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, I kind of read Shonda Rhimes' book. I'm like, this is going to be my year of yes. I'm going to try new things. I'm going to try all collaborations. I'm not going to say no to anything because you never know where you might jive or connect or where breaks can happen and things like that. So I did say yes to everything. And what that made me understand was that there's some things I hate doing, things that don't work for me. And there's some things that did not serve my purpose. People will try to take advantage of you because you're saying yes. Mm-hmm. And so I took all those lessons. And then this past year has been my year of hell no, which means I say no a lot of the time. In fact, majority of the time, it's not going to serve me. It's not going to work for my schedule. It's going to take advantage of me. It's not a good use of my time. I say no, but I only could get to that place of saying no by saying yes so much to learn what didn't serve me. And saying yes so much was just, again, me chasing every shiny thing. Oh my God, yes, that sounds cool. Yes, interesting, yes. No. So now I'm like, no.
But it does help you kind of hone in on what it is that's important to you and what you want to do with your business.
Yeah. Like it helped me really get firm in my non-negotiables. And I was kind of wishy-washy around them. Even into earlier this year, there was a some that was like, oh, maybe I'll try it. And then I tried, I was like, oh, this is definitely a heck no, because I know this should have been a no before I said yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, and what that has done for me is that it has helped me really get clear on the things that I know I want to say yes to, right? And focusing on those things has allowed me to attract or find more of those things, right? So I get it. I've been there.
I think that's part of the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah. You have to try things. I'm not saying go now and start saying no to everybody. I'm saying, as you're saying the yeses, start to understand what's working for you, what's not working for you, what's beneficial, what's a good use of your time. And as you start to learn these things, don't be afraid to start saying no if those things don't serve your business and they don't serve your purpose. And
say no nicely. Say no nicely. and be strategic, because a no in 2018 could turn into a yes in 2019.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to burn any bridges.
No, no bridge burning, because you never know. I'll tell you, so many things have come back to me full circle from even people I used to work with. Now that I'm doing a lot of networking, people I used to work with back in my tech career that are in different positions in business now and entrepreneurship now that I'm connecting with again. Imagine if I had been some nasty employee or consultant at the time and they met me again in a meeting room. Like, how weird would that be? So yeah, definitely no burning bridges.
Yeah, because you never know. And just as somebody is reaching out to you this year asking you, would you be interested in, you may find yourself 6 months from now or a year from now going to them and saying, hey, would you be interested in? Now, you might get a soft no or a hard no, but you want to be able to ask that question if, in fact, you need to.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing I did to kind of help with saying the no, because, sometimes when you say no to people, they're good at getting you to change your mind or to convince you. There are people just really good salespeople, good speakers and things like that. And they'll have you turning your no into a yes without you even realizing it until you get to the point where you're like, oh my God, I meant for that to be no. How did I get suckered into that? So what I did is I put a buffer in between me. So once I know it's going to be a no, I tell my employee, oh, hi, there's that email, there's that phone call, just kill them with kindness. But the answer is no.
That is our motto. And having somebody else deliver the message makes it easier for you. And I think it also helps the person asking to understand, like, okay, they're not interested right now because she's not even talking to me.
In a nice way.
Yeah. No, totally in a nice way. I mean, and look, we've all been on the receiving end of that as well.
Yeah, I get told no all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, every day I get a no. So, I'm immune to no at this point. Like,
you have to be.
Yeah, you don't be disappointed by getting a no, ladies. You will get a lot of no's. Just fact of business.
Life. That is life.
So, Kaylyn, when it comes to being a woman successful in business, you have your products at 70 stores, you have a great social media presence, people who work for you, etc. Now that you've made this progress in your business and there are other women who are following in your footsteps, what would you say one of the biggest issues holding women back from being successful in business is?
I think it's self-confidence. And, let's be honest, depending on what day you talk to me, I may not be feeling particularly confident about decisions I've made or the direction we're heading in, because it's a lot. It's a lot to think about and juggle, and there are many moving pieces to put into place. But I think the thing that holds us back generally is self-confidence, and it plays itself out in many ways. There have been so many studies on the fact that women consistently undersell themselves and their services and are always willing to give a break or reduce the price. And people worry, well, if I don't, then, that business might not come back, or they may choose to go with somebody else. Well, then let them choose to go with somebody else.
Yep.
That just, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to make money, and you can't make money if you are constantly giving discounts to people, because then people will always expect you to give them a discount, and it devalues you and what you do and what you're, the products or the service you're providing. So to me, that's one of our biggest issues.
Mm-hmm. And I see that a lot. It's even when I first started my business and in prior businesses, thinking back to when I had my photography business, like I remember, oh my God, who am I to charge somebody $5,000 to photograph their wedding in the early stages? But then I started to realize that as my work started getting a lot better, like really good, people started to take advantage of that. And one of the things I recognized was that once I started getting a ton of demand, I realized I was charging too little. Yep. So even if you're not sure, okay, do I increase my prices? Do I not increase my prices? Do I charge more? Do I not? Take a look at demand, right? And see if everybody is coming to you like this is a sale, like a huge sample sale going on. Yeah. Girl, you need to increase your prices.
Absolutely.
Today.
And look, having had a service business, some of what you need to do, and I know you did this with your photography business, is you're learning on your feet and you're learning with some of your clients. And so you don't want to charge folks an arm and a leg while you're still learning. But once you figured out what it is you're doing and you've got a system and it's working, by all means, you need to increase your price point to be competitive. Because otherwise you're doing all of this hard work and you're not reaping the benefit and you're not getting the ROI in the way that you should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, something to think about, and you may think that the other thing, I think the flip side of this is that maybe you're in a business and you're like, oh my God, I should be charging so much more. But like you said, Kalyn, if you're in the space where you're still learning things, right? And you know that, okay, this needs a little bit more improvement. This needs a little bit more work. It's okay to wait until you get to that place, right? Because at the end of the day, the people who are paying you have to see the value in what they're paying for, right? And once you start to get the indication of it, you'll start to know your stuff is good because they'll give you that feedback. And that's one time when you can say, okay, I'm going to increase my prices. People are pretty honest these days. They'll tell you, know what, I bought that product and it was crap. I overpaid. It was too expensive. We've all done that.
We have. And, it's yes, people will let you know in many different ways. And I think the best way for me has been word of mouth. So with my styling business, I only worked by referral. Mm-hmm. And so initially I didn't have a bunch of clients, but as time went on and I perfected what it is that I was doing, I was in a position where I could turn people down. And that's kind of the best position you want to be in. I would imagine the same thing happened with you and your photography business because there's only one of you. So you can only do so many weddings, right?
Yeah.
And for Effies Paper, what we've learned is that the biggest compliment a customer can give us is to come back a second time or a third time and not only buy products for themselves, but buy products for their friends and family as gifts that they're giving for birthdays or holidays. And in their little notes to us, they'll say things like, I bought such and such and I really loved it. And I wanted my mom to have it and my friend and this, that, and the other. That's the best compliment I can get because that lets me know we're doing something right.
Yeah. That's really important. People will tell you, and then because when they come back, they want more. They want to tell you how your product helped them, in their life or with whoever they gave it to was so happy about it. So,
yeah.
So, what would be your number one business tip that you would give another woman in business?
This is not a tip that I got. I wish that I had. My biggest tip is to find an accountability partner or two. You want to have someone who is not working in your business. You want to have someone who is not your significant other or best friend that you can talk to your business about. They don't necessarily need to have the same kind of business. They probably should not have the same kind of business because then they can think about your business or bring things to you about your business that you can't see or don't even know to think about because you're so in the weeds. But an accountability partner can really help to keep you on the straight and narrow. They can be a cheerleader for you, but also a voice of reason. Because as an entrepreneur, you are in your own head. And you daily are hitting the ground running. You've got your to-do list. You know what you got to do. You've got meetings. You've got this. You've got that. You got to, you're taking care of business. And it is very easy not to think strategically about your business because you're so in the weeds on a regular basis. If you have an accountability partner or group, whether it's an informal thing or a more formal structure, that can make all the difference in your business. When I was pivoting about 2.5, 3 years ago now, so I kind of had this idea that I needed to pivot, and then it took about 6 to 8 months to do the pivot before we actually got to the point where we had whatnots to sell. I'd met a woman at some networking event, And for whatever reason, she decided she liked me and she was going to be my friend. And I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. Anyway, I got to know this woman quite well. She ended up becoming my accountability partner. And she had a left brain for my right brain. And she was like, look, I know you like to make everything pretty. Everything you do is pretty. That's great. We got to get some numbers behind pretty. So let's figure out what it's going to cost us to make this pretty. And it was just what I needed at that point in time. Now, conversely, for her business, she was more of a tech person. And so she could get the back end of a website built. She could get an app built, but they were so unattractive that she couldn't get them sold. And I was like, okay, well, I can make them pretty. And so it was a good pairing for the time that it lasted. And I definitely have to credit her with helping me to begin to think about my business in a very different way.
The accountability partner is important. I think it's really important. I have different people I talk to about different business things. But I would caution people listening that when you're picking the accountability partner, right, you want to make sure that it's someone that is in the same mental space and someone who's willing to put in the same amount of commitment as you are. When I first started this business, Clever Girl Finance, I started with a lot of people who were starting businesses. I think I can count 2 other people who are still in business today. And, it's not that there's anything wrong with them not being in business. People go through different shifts in their life. They test things out. Maybe those are not the businesses for them. Things happen. I've started businesses that I've closed because different reasons. But it's also important that when those people are going through those transitions and making those decisions, that you're mindful of how the decisions they're making affect you, who is kind of, that, okay, this is the business I want to build and this is working for me. Because when someone starts to say, oh my God, business is not for me, this is not working out, wasting my time, I want to be hanging out with my friends, or, just random comments, right? You might be thinking, oh, you know what? I should just take it easier. I can relate to what she's saying because we will always find ways to relate to what other people are going through, especially if we're doing something similar. So be mindful of that, right? Because if something's not working out that well for someone and that person's your accountability partner, you don't want decisions they're making to shift to affect you when you know that you are not ready to shift. That's my two cents.
I think that's very well said. I mean, I guess what I should have started out by saying is that you have to be strategic in who you choose. I was just in a situation where this woman was strategic and she chose me.
Yeah.
So, it was one of those where she was like, oh no, we were in that seminar together and I was really impressed with your presentation and what you're doing and how you're thinking about things. And let me tell you more about me. So it wasn't, I agree. You do have to be very strategic because otherwise you could end up wasting good and valuable time.
And it's okay to have multiple partners. It's okay to know that you can be an accountability partner with somebody for a season. It's okay to outgrow partners. It's, you may need someone to support you and they may need you to support them for a specific period of time, for a specific period of months, or maybe, your business starts going in a completely different direction and you need someone who has insights or expertise in that other direction. So don't feel like if you are in an accountability partnership and it's not working out, that it's just not meant for you. Maybe you just need to find an additional person or a different person. Yeah. Exactly. So, Kaylyn, what would you say is your number one financial tip for women in business? Because I have to ask you that.
Hire a bookkeeper from the get-go. Have somebody helping you with your daily numbers. One, you need to be focused on your daily numbers, but have somebody helping you with your daily numbers from the beginning so that as your business grows, your taxes, your payroll, your various monies, you know where they're going. You've got somebody helping you keep track of everything. And I'll say for myself, who I don't have a financial background, the part that I love the least is running numbers and making charts. but it's a part of business and it's a salient part of business. And if you can't get your arms around it, bring somebody in who can help you get your arms around it. So to me, it's bringing somebody in from the get-go whose sole purpose is to be focused on that.
That's great advice. And if you're just starting out and you don't have the budget to hire someone, then you can start with a simple spreadsheet. You will get to the point where you are grow the spreadsheet, and then maybe you can start with a paid tool like a QuickBooks or one of those tools that can get you organized and create reports so you can see your big picture financially. And then once you start bringing more money, you could start to hire, a bookkeeper that you talk to once a month or once a quarter. And they're actually not as expensive as you think. So once the minute you start to get even minutely overwhelmed with your numbers, it's time to bring somebody in. Mm-hmm. And for someone, like you said, for someone who's starting a business, you need to get on your numbers from day one, starting with your startup cost, starting with understanding how much is it going to cost me to open this business, to be day one of XYZ business. What is the cost to get to that day one? You need to know those numbers. I can't tell you how many people I talk to and I say, okay, so you started this business, but what is your break-even number? How much do you need to make immediately, ASAP, to break even on the initial investment you put into this business? And a lot of people can answer that question.
Don't know. Yeah.
And it's just really knowing how much did I spend starting up this business, because that's my first benchmark as to how much I need to make to break even, right? Recoup the cost. So not as complicated, but for any reason you feel minutely overwhelmed, then you don't even have to hire someone on a consistent basis if you don't have the budget, but schedule a session with a bookkeeper and say, hey, this is where I am. Can you help me set up something that I can track? And then I can come back to you in a few months to help me double check.
Simple, and there are also a bunch of apps out there too that you can use that, I don't know, maybe they're $15 a month, but there's a lot out there. And it's worth paying attention to.
Yeah. Great advice. And I guess I'll ask you, what are your business goals for the next few years? Where do you see yourself?
Within the next year, my main goal is for us to get into a major retailer. And that's what we're working towards. And I would say sort of my 5-year or my long-term goal is for us to land a licensing deal with a major retailer, meaning that, I would be in a position where I'm doing the designing of product and they are manufacturing the product, but it's under Effies Paper or Effies Paper Stationery&Whatnot.
I can totally see that happening.
Well, you got to put it out there, right? So from your lips to God's ears, Bola.
So, Kaylyn, what is your clever girl superpower?
I would say my clever girl superpower is that I am a fairy godmother to many. And for me, what that means is I have a bunch of people in my life, from friends, family members, teenagers who it's just important to me to make sure they feel good about themselves. And so I kind of do what fairy godmothers do. I show up unexpectedly. May send you something in the mail. I may just check in to see how things are going on a day when things aren't going so well. I had ladies as I was coming up who did that for me, kind of from all walks of life. And it always made me feel good. And I like to do that for other people.
And that's always nice for people to, get that support. Yeah. When they, that's really nice. Oh, I like that. So this has been great, Kaylyn. I'd love for you to tell everybody where they can find you, where they can learn more about Effies Paper and kind of keep up with you.
Well, you can find us online at effiespaper.com. On Instagram, we're at Effies Paper, and that's F as in Frank, F as in Frank, I, E, S as in Sam, Paper. And, we would love for y'all to join our tribe.
Yeah, and you have a really cool, fun IG page. You guys should check it out.
I think it's fun. Glad you do too.
So thank you so much, Kaylyn. This has been awesome. I appreciate you coming on to share your amazingness with everyone.
Oh, thank you, Bola. I certainly appreciate you having me on. This has been great.
So I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this episode with Kalyn. She shared some really great business tips and I enjoyed talking to her. If you loved what you listened to, please subscribe to this podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and you can also listen to episodes and watch videos on the Clever Girl Finance YouTube channel. I'll talk to you guys on the next episode.